Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. A few weeks ago I welcomed my first litter of 2021, which was a nice litter of Pearl Island or Saboge Boas. And today I wanted to give you an update on how the babies are doing. I'm going to show you some of the babies, say a little bit more about the Saboge Boas, and since quite a few of you guys have been asking, I'm going to say a little bit about my sales. So as you may know, these babies were born back in the last week in May. And it was actually my earliest locality boa litter. They came a little bit earlier than I thought, since I had messed up what I thought was the post-ovulation shed, so it was a really nice surprise. And I had 7 babies. This is actually the second litter of this pair. I had a litter of 5 babies back in 2019. This is actually the father. This guy was born in 2014, bred by Vin Russo. And I bred him to a female born in 2013. That was produced by Rich Isle of the salmon boa. And so if you're not familiar with these Pearl Island boas, they're from a small island off of the coast of Panama in the Pacific Ocean. And they're quite a bit different from most of the other boas. They're much more elongated, much more arboreal. You can see how active they are. This guy just doesn't want to sit still. He's just always moving around, exploring. Definitely a unique behavior, or an extreme behavior for Pearl Island boas. You don't see as much in some of the other boas. They also have this really cool head shape, this kind of elongated snout and these kind of flared nostrils and really big prominent eyes. Really a cool looking boa. Probably not the best boa if you want one that you can take out and handle and is just going to be chill, since they are more active. And in fact, this guy doesn't want to sit still. He's not really aggressive though. He's never bitten me, and he's just kind of exploring. Some of the Pearl Islands can be a little bit nippy, so that's something to bear in mind. But they are beautiful looking. They're really light colored. They have this patternless body with very few saddles and these beautiful colors. So I'll show you some of the babies. Some of the babies have a little bit more markings than this guy. But you can see this male is almost patternless, and he's just got this beautiful golden brown coloration with some kind of orangey, reddish markings on his tail. Really beautiful animal. So these babies are now a few weeks old. I've separated them out into their individual housing after they shed at about a week of age. And I've gone and fed some of them. So far out of the 7, 4 of them have eaten. 3 of them have not eaten yet. Sometimes it takes them a little while to start feeding. My litter back in 2019, of the 5, 4 of them ate, no problem. 1 of them didn't eat for a few months and had to be assist fed. And that's actually one of my holdbacks. It was the only female from the litter, and she's doing great now. Maybe I'll show you her in a few minutes. But hopefully most of these babies will eat on their own. I won't need to assist feed them. But we'll give them probably another month, month and a half. If they don't start eating on their own, I'm going to have to go ahead and assist feed them. So I went ahead and sexed the animals, and of the 7, it appears that 5 are male and 2 are female. So it's a really male heavy litter. I'm not sure about if I'm going to hold back any of these animals. As I mentioned, I held back a pair from my 2019 litter, so we'll see. I may hold back 1 or a pair, just depending on how I feel. I'd like to keep them all, of course, but I have limits as far as the number of animals that I can maintain at my facility. So why don't I show you a few of the babies right now so you can get a close-up look at them. I'll get out my close-up lens. Okay, here's some of the babies. Now these guys just do not want to sit still, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge. You can see here's a little squirmer. I like this guy's tail. You can see he's got these nice reddish brown tail saddles, kind of orangey brown. You can see he's got kind of these reduced saddles. This guy, you can see he's pretty big. He's probably about 2 feet long. These guys are really born large, so they typically will have small litters of large babies. And this guy's fed, and he's nicely established. Should be ready to go in another month and a half or so. After he feeds it a few more times. Here's another one. This one's actually a female, and she's actually as well. You can see she has hardly any saddles. She's really almost patternless like her father. And then what I like is, I just love the orangish brown blotches on their tail. And so this one, you know, she's not sitting still. You know, another feature of these Pearl Island boas is they've got these beautiful sides with a lot of white colors. Let me get her back in there. You know, the parents have it as well, especially the mother, but they have these blotches of white on the sides. It almost looks a little bit like a pied, or, you know, piebald. They just have these blotches of white and a lot of white scales. Some have it more than others. And then another cool thing, I don't know if you can see, but they have this cool tongue that's kind of pink. Well, not really pink, but it's not as dark as most boa tongues. It's kind of got like a pink tip to it with some you know, dark splotches. Really cool look. Okay, here's one more guy. This guy's a male. He actually nipped at me a little bit when I was taking him out here, so we'll see if he cooperates. But, you know, like his siblings, he just doesn't want to sit still. You can see the beautiful tail blotches. Actually, he's cooperating more than his siblings. Not quite moving as fast. But this guy, you can see he does have some saddles. You know, they're definitely reduced compared to most boa constrictors. And he's got the beautiful orangish brownish tail markings. Since this guy is cooperating more than his siblings, I thought I'd try to get some more close-ups. Maybe hopefully we'll get a tongue flick and you can see how cool the tongue is. I don't know if this guy's going to cooperate. Oh. Yeah, he just nipped at me, so I'm going to... Oh, there's his tongue. I'm going to stick him back before he draws blood, but real cool looking boa. So those were a few of the babies. I wanted to show you a couple of the 2-year-old holdbacks. These are full siblings to the babies I just showed you. And this is actually the female born in 2019. And as I mentioned, she didn't eat from the start. For some reason, she wouldn't eat, you know, the live rodents I offered. It might be that these animals are more accustomed to a diet of lizards and birds in the wild. Unfortunately, I don't have that to my, you know, easily available to feed to these animals. So I ended up assist feeding her mouse tails for about a month and a half or so. And then she started eating on her own, which was, you know, definitely a great relief. And since then, she's eaten like a pig with no problem. She's probably about, I don't know, 3.5 feet right now. You can see how beautiful she is. She's got these bright, you know, golden coloration, and what markings she has are kind of this orangish brown in color. Just really beautiful animal. This animal was actually a little lighter than most of the littermates. You know, they do vary in the, you know, how dark they are. They also do change color somewhat from dark to light during the day, like many island boas. And you can see how beautiful her head is. Just really graceful. These are among the most graceful of the boa constrictors because of their very elongated body. And they also have a beautiful iridescence if you photograph them outside in the right sunlight. And here's a 2-year-old holdback male from that 2019 litter. You can see he's a little darker than his sister, but just a gorgeous looking animal, mostly patternless. I just love the looks of these young Pearl Island boas. They almost look like they're made out of clay or plastic. They just look so beautiful, almost like they're not real. And, you know, they are one of the more interesting types of boas. Not that other boas aren't interesting, but they're kind of extreme as far as their adaptations. They were originally classified in a separate genus, Epicrides, as Epicrides sabogae, before they were reclassified as a subspecies of boa constrictor in the middle of the 20th century. So one thing about these guys, as I mentioned, they're definitely more active. And one thing that might get a little bit of might take a bit of getting used to, is they have this feeding behavior where they'll actually launch themselves out of the cage when you go to offer them food. So you got to give them a lot of space. You know, they can sense, you know, they smell the rodent in the room, and they're right waiting for the cage door to be opened, and then they just literally launch out like a rocket, and they'll throw, you know, like, you know, a third to about half of their body will just shoot out. So you got to keep your hand away. You have to use tongs. You can't hand feed them, obviously, or you're going to get bitten. They're just such eager feeders. But, you know, besides this, as I mentioned, I haven't had any aggression from these babies. I did have my female, who's the mother of this litter, was a little nippy when I first got her, but she's calmed down since then. But these babies have been just really docile. So I imagine these guys will be up for sale probably about another, I don't know, month and a half or so. It's kind of hard to say because I don't sell a baby until it's fed at least 3 to 4 times and it's established. I got to see how many of the babies will need to be assist fed. Hopefully, you know, the ones that start feeding will have had 3 to 4 meals in about a month and a half or so. But just stay tuned. I'll give updates on where the animals will be available, you know, when the time comes. I'm not sure yet if I might list them on something like Fauna Classifieds or, you know, where I'm going to list them. But just stay tuned for future episodes for updates on availability of these and other 2021 locality boa babies. So that's a little bit about my litter of Saboge Pearl Island boas. Hope this was helpful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot me a line. Thanks for watching and enjoy your boas.